Dealing with mental health can be hard, but United Healthcare can help make getting care easier. With Mental Health Complete Plus, provided by Teladoc Health. Unlimited virtual sessions for only $59.99 a month. Visit mentalhealthcomplete.com to learn more.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hello, welcome to In All Honesty, the podcast where we get real about life and all the problems that come with it. I'm Michelle Elman and I'm a 5 board accredited life coach, public speaker, author of The Joy of Being Selfish and Am I Ugly? And I'm passionate about teaching people how to communicate, heal the wounds from the past, feel your feelings, and ultimately giving you the tools you need to change your own life. This is the space where you get your personal development needs met, and we talk about all things growth, self-awareness, and communication with complexity and nuance. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then stick around, because I think you're going to like it here. Today we are talking about the importance of saying things while people are alive, actually telling them to their face how much they mean to you. I went to a funeral recently and it was my first funeral, and I am very aware of the privilege that I have going to my first funeral at 28 years old. Not many people get to this age without experiencing a big loss. And whilst all my grandparents have passed away, I actually never went to any of their funerals, mainly because I was too young for 3 of them. But the last time a grandparent passed away, I was actually in hospital, so couldn't go. My family also have quite a weird relationship with funerals in that they believe that funerals are for the living. And so my family have always believed if it's not going to help your healing, then you don't need to go for the person who died. I have a slightly different point of view, and so that's why I did go to this funeral of a friend who had passed away. And all I could think about while I was there was how I wish she could hear us, and to be honest, I just hoped that she could. And I was sat there listening to all these speeches, or I guess you call them eulogies, and wondering if she knew all these things about herself, that she had people from school, from university, her boyfriend speaking, and whether they had actually intricately told them all the compliments about themselves, or even just their favourite memories of them together. And it got me thinking about the fact that only time you really give speeches about people in your life are at weddings, and in which case it's not really about you, it's about your partnership, usually about how both of you met, as opposed to you and you as a person. I've been really fortunate in the fact that I've actually had 4, 5, 6 maybe friends give speeches about me. It all happened at my 21st, and in my friendship group, 21st were a really big deal. So we all got dressed up in black tie for every single person's 21st, and every single person's 21st had speeches involved. In mine, I did ask 3 friends, and it just became this really funny evening where one of the guys stood up saying, well, I thought it was a bit unfair that all the girls got to speak, so I'm speaking on behalf of all the guys. And then my dad got up because he was like, well, why did all your friends get to speak and I don't get to speak? And it became this never-ending cycle of speeches. But it meant that I have these incredible memories, and I have a video of a few of them, of these wonderful things that my loved ones have said about me to my face and what they think of me, and running jokes that we have. And it's a beautiful memory and something that I will never forget. It's probably one of my favourite memories. And so I'm a really big advocate for birthday speeches, and I know it's not the norm. But if this podcast can encourage you to do anything, get up at your friend's next birthday and give a speech. I understand public speaking is not everyone's thing. It wasn't my thing at the time, but it will mean so much to that person. And at your birthday, ask a friend to give a speech. And even if you don't want to do any of these things publicly, in general, when I was sitting in this funeral, I was actually quite grateful for the fact that I've always been a person who compliments people a lot. I really believe in that idea of you should compliment people on the parts of themselves they don't know exist. I think sometimes we always emphasize our weaknesses and we assume that we're the only person in the world with that weakness. And then when it comes to our strengths, we think everyone else has those strengths and we take them for granted. We see them as commonplace. We see them as something that everyone else can do. For example, I used to think everyone was as emotionally intelligent as I was. I thought everyone had the same level of self-awareness as I did. I also thought everyone analyzed things in the same way as me. But actually, no, that was a strength of mine, and that's why I went into life coaching. It's why I started pursuing psychology in general, was because I realized it was a strength, and that advice giving, being able to listen to people, all of these things that were so natural to me, being able to be present with someone when they're crying or upset or distraught in any way, all of these things are actually strengths that I'm really good at, but not everyone is. And until I was maybe 20 years old, I didn't realize that. I thought everyone was good at that. And so I never recognized it as a strength within myself. And it was only actually when these speeches were taking place when I was 21 that a lot of them said, she's the person who I can talk to no matter what the content is about. She will listen to me non-judgmentally. She will always have advice, and she's always going to pick up the phone after one ring. Now, the picking up the phone after one ring thing is something I have lost over time, because that was actually probably due to bad boundaries. But everything else still remains true. And it's only because they compliment me on a part of myself I didn't realize was abnormal or unique to me or special about me. And so if you have the opportunity to ever compliment someone on a part of themselves you're not sure they're aware of, you're not sure they know is actually really special, tell that person. And there's something really beautiful about giving someone a specific compliment, saying something like, you know what I like about you? When you take charge in situations, you have this really great leadership ability where you're not condescending, you're really good at delegating and letting people know what they should be doing without micromanaging. And I don't know if you ever knew that you're a really good leader, but even in small moments where you're navigating us or you're taking control of our situation, I really appreciate that because it allows me to relax. What a specific compliment. I gave that the other day. But yes, it's a specific compliment, and that person's going to remember that. They're going to know, and then they can actually utilize that in their life because they'll realize, oh, I actually am good at leading. I didn't know that, or I didn't realize that. And these two things have become really strong ethoses in my life. So one is complimenting people on the part of themselves they don't notice, and also saying something when you think it. So I am a person who sends a lot of thinking of you and just want to say hi, thinking of you and just want to say I love you, thinking of you and really grateful you're in my life, thinking of you and I'm just so glad you exist. I send these texts every moment that a person pops into my head because I like the idea that if I'm thinking it, I want to say it out loud. And if I'm talking to someone else about how wonderful a person you are or how wonderful a friend is, I find it strange that I would tell that person that, but not tell you that to your face. And the reason why we don't is because...
This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Dealing with mental health can be hard. All the influencers' posts, articles, podcasts, tips about what to do, what not to do, silence retreats, yoga retreats. My friends tell me to take some me time. My mom says I need a boyfriend. Therapy? Impossible without insurance. Even with, it's expensive.
United Healthcare can help make getting mental health care easier. With Mental Health Complete Plus, provided by Teladoc Health. Unlimited virtual sessions, only $59.99 a month. Visit mentalhealthcomplete.com to learn more.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
It seems vulnerable, and it also seems like, well, if they actually know how much they mean to me, that could actually increase the chance of losing them, when that doesn't make sense logically or rationally, but emotionally that's how a lot of us feel. And so we don't say these things because you don't know if you're going to scare them off, or you feel like it's too much pressure if you say these things. But they're nice things to know, regardless of whether that person stays in your life or not. It's good that that person knows at that point in your life you are important to them. And these small texts, and they're often just like one sentence, just thinking of you and want to say I love you, are usually sent in moments where I'm too busy to have a full conversation. But those small texts are ways to show appreciation and love and let the people in your life know that they are important to you. And you know what? It can really change someone's day when you send a text like that, when you receive a text like that. Even if you just send a voice note first thing in the morning saying, hey, just wanted to check in, how's your day going? It's that thought that someone thought of you, made the effort to do it. It doesn't matter the length of the text. It doesn't matter whether you actually ask them about their day and get a full life update, or whether you just pass it as a little note to say, I love you and I appreciate you. And it got me thinking about all of this because last night I actually was playing a game called We Are Not Really Strangers. It's from an Instagram account, and it's essentially a box of cards that have deep and meaningful questions, and this is my idea of fun. And I understand it's not everyone's idea of fun, but obviously I've got quite a psychology nerdy brain and I love getting deep with people. I'm not a small talk kind of person. And the person I was playing it with last night is a person you actually might know about if you've read Am I Ugly? I had a moment in university where I was going through PTSD, and I didn't know it was PTSD at the time, and I was experiencing some hallucinations and flashbacks and just awful things. And long story short, in a moment where I thought I was experiencing an auditory hallucination, a friend actually turned up at my door, and he was the person who convinced me to get help and convinced me to go to therapy for the first time. And so last night while we were playing the game, this is a man who's been in my life for 10 years, and we've definitely have ebbs and flows in our relationship of being closer, being best friends, being not so close, and within the pandemic we definitely went through a phase of being less close than we have been. And it was the first time I've actually seen him since the pandemic. And one of the questions that came up last night was, why do you think you were meant to meet? And he said an answer around how he believes we're very much mirrors of each other, and why sometimes we go through phases where we are jarring a lot because actually we are really similar to each other, and sometimes we reflect in each other the parts of ourselves that we don't like. He's also equally as deep as I am, which is why it was actually like the perfect person to play this game with. When it came to my turn to answer, I actually said, well, you've read Am I Ugly? And I'm not sure I've actually said this to you in person, but I believe you came into my life because of that moment. And I don't think it could have been anyone else in that moment walking in on me crying. I don't think anyone else could have convinced me to go get therapy. And I don't think anyone else I would have felt safe and comfortable enough with to have that conversation with at the time. And I was really lost. And as I was saying, I started crying, but I actually made no attempt to wipe away the tears or stop crying or comfort the tears. Or sometimes when someone starts crying in front of you, you feel the need to comfort them in the way to stop. But actually, I just kept talking while crying, letting my tears stream down my face as I was talking. But there was a really nice moment, and obviously once I stopped talking, he hugged me and was like, oh, well, thank you for telling me that, and no worries, of course, like, you don't need to thank me for being there, all of these things. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, I wrote it in a book, I'm just not sure whether I actually said it to you. And you read it in a book, so you knew about it, and obviously he was in that moment, so he knew that moment had taken place. But having that opportunity to be able to thank him for that moment, that without exaggeration probably was one of the moments where a person saved my life, and definitely changed the trajectory of my life. Because even though that psychologist that I went to wasn't the one who ended up helping me, it did help me enough to finish and graduate and lead me to the path that I am on now. I am so grateful for that moment, and he was a pivotal part of that. Yet, I'm not sure I actually ever said it. And so without these artificial games of asking deep questions, I think the way you can naturally do it is by willing to get deep yourself. By having those conversations, by starting those conversations, you can be the person who initiates a deeper level of friendship. And of course, be careful. There are not always going to be every single one of my friends who I can have this kind of conversation with and have space held for me. And if you don't feel like you have any of those friendships, those deep friendships in your life, that's okay too. I've gone through phases where I've had no deep friendships in my life. But if you find someone who you find that you can open up with, who can hold space for you, you can be more vulnerable than you normally are with everyone else, then use that as an opportunity to take the friendship deeper by having these important conversations, by actually being honest. And I do think this is part of this change in me that came with setting boundaries, was I became more honest. I stopped caring what people think, and when you stop caring what people think, you are able to be more vulnerable and open about how you truly feel about someone in a positive way, and not caring how that positive compliment is going to be received. If someone gets awkward around compliments and I compliment them, then that's their stuff. But I at least gave that gift of a compliment and them knowing that I think of them that way. So that's all I wanted to say really, is that say these things while you're alive, whether it's a birthday speech, whether it's you playing a game about deep questions, whether it's you sending a text saying, I'm just so grateful you're in my life. Take that moment right now, use this podcast as an opportunity to send at least one text to one person saying how much they mean to you and that you really value them. And if you can, try to be specific. If you can't, just say, I'm thinking of you. And I do think there's something about the fact that when you put out more love in the world, you get more love back. But maybe that's a karmic, spiritual mindset that I have that not everyone holds. But one that I think is a beautiful mindset, and one that I believe is a useful belief, convenient belief to have in my life. Thank you so much for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world if you could leave a review wherever you are listening to this and share it on social media. Tag me in so I can share it too. Come find me at Scarred Not Scared on Twitter, Instagram or TikTok. We do fun things on there like Q&A Mondays, and on Friday we celebrate your boundary wins. So there's a whole community of people who want to grow and heal and are just like you, and we are waiting to welcome you whenever you are ready. In the meantime, make sure to feel your feelings, set some boundaries, communicate in the way you want to be communicated with, ask for what you need, and I know sometimes you forget, but someone loves you, and I'll speak to you next week.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hey, it's Danny Pellegrino from Everything Iconic. Ready to upgrade your style game without blowing your budget? Check out Quince. They've got all the good stuff, shirts and polos, activewear, and fine leather goods, all at 50 to 80% less than other high-end brands. And the best part? They're all about safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing. Get that luxury vibe without the luxury price tag. Hit up quince.com/upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's quince.com/upgrade.